Okay, we are live. This is Jenny, Winny, and the Average Dude. But the Average Dude's not here, and I'm like a little bit panicked because y'all know I don't deal well with all this technical difficulties. But every time Daniel got on, and see, he was kind of acting like it was me, but it wasn't. Okay, so every time I would speak, I would hear myself echoing, y'all. So we can't get Daniel in here, and we're trying to figure out what to do. We had two great guests. They're with us right now. Julie and Brittany. I'm just going to bring them both in so that they can say hello. And then Daniel says that we're probably going to have to reschedule. Wah, wah. Unless y'all just think this should just be Jenny Winny show. Which, I mean, it could be. Anyway, because Daniel can't talk. Let me bring these two lovely ladies in. It's just going to be the all-girl network. But anyway, 1 second. And Daniel, are you going to connect with your phone? I don't know what he's doing. Okie dokie. Hello. How are y'all?
Well, I'm good, Jenny. Thank you for having me. And I'm all for the Jenny Winny show. I mean, Brittany and I are here. So I say the average dude will have to come in when he can figure it out.
Daniel he kind of is the average dude. I mean, you know, people kind of like him for some reason. And today, this was our first Womp Womp sponsored show.
Oh no.
Yeah, we had a sponsor to reach out. And so, I mean, that's how this works, you know. But anyway, yeah, go ahead. I want you to introduce yourselves and then tell us a little bit about what you do. You go first, Julie.
Well, hello, everyone. I'm Julie Ruska. I'm a certified high performance coach and corporate trainer. So on the personal development side, I help people create lives they love by examining their careers, relationship, health, and finance to determine where they're functioning at their optimal levels and where they're not. And then I create a plan with my clients, my one-on-one clients, to get them from where they are now to where they want to be. So that's a real quick summary of that.
Have you said that before? I mean, it seems like
yeah. It's just like
I was like, I'd be like,
trying to learn to say it really fast.
Yeah. I motivate people to be better. Yes. Okay. And how about you, Brittany Newcomer? With a name like Newcomer, though, I mean, you know, I keep going. She's a newcomer. Welcome, our newcomer, Brittany Newcomer.
I am a newcomer. I just started with a new company.
I heard.
It's awesome. We went to the F1, so lots of fun stuff to talk about. We sponsored it. But I'm Brittany Newcomer. I'm the head of global customer success for Draver. And I am local in Greenville, South Carolina with that average dude. So
he can just come to your house and finish the rest of this.
Right. He just needs to get a connection. Yeah. Because now, Brittany, you used to be with Capital One, right?
I was with Capital One for 5 years.
That's what Daniel was telling me. And because I was like, well, I know it doesn't make any difference, but Capital One is my favorite credit card.
It's the best.
It is the best.
Yes.
I mean, I use all those points. But anyway, so normally we would just have, you know, Julie on first, then we're going to bring Brittany on. And if Daniel comes in, we'll just make this all work. But Julie, tell me about, I know that was a brief synopsis, but what made you get into doing that? And Brittany, any questions or comments, you just throw them right in there.
Yeah, so on the personal development side, I explained what I do. On the corporate development side, I do professional development trainings for leadership development and customized trainings to create high-performing cultures. Average dude, are you back?
I hope so. Can you hear me?
Yeah, and you're not echoing.
Oh, my goodness. We made it.
No, we didn't. I'm going to have to go to the bathroom now.
Jenny Winny, that opening, you now have the official best opening ever for Jenny Winny and the Average Dude. Congratulations on that. You handled the pressure like a pro.
Did I?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, you know what? It was easy because they were all just like, we're hoping for the best for you.
Well, I loved it. What I heard, y'all pulled together. You made it work. Of course, Jenny Winny, that's a lot of pressure. She's not used to opening. And if you've ever done something like this, that's not an easy thing to get that right rhythm. And Jenny does a great job with me every week. So I appreciate that. I was so excited. And isn't this how life goes? And if you notice me reaching up, my phone keeps timing out there. But I was so excited about this show because high performers and being around high performers, it makes us all better. And we have Brittany and Julie with us today. And this is what I wanted to do. I wanted us to bring everybody together and talk about high performance and some of the exciting things that I know both of you ladies are doing. And we normally start the show with a little interaction between Jenny, Winny, and I.
There's no
Unfortunately,
interaction. We did it all behind the scenes, everybody. I mean, the
yeah,
only interaction was like, Daniel, oh my God, fix your microphone.
Jenny was yelling at me, y'all. I mean, she was bossing me around, and I felt a little upset with her. But you know what? I kept my cool, and we're back.
And I'm so sorry, Daniel. I'm sorry. You know, I'm.
I love you, Jenny. No, I knew that was a lot of pressure. I'm glad that we're getting it worked out and have a lot to talk about. So I will tell y'all, this morning I was getting ready for Toastmasters. Had my coffee mug, as you know, I carry that mug everywhere, and spilled it on the way in. So this has been a day full of exciting bad things. But you know what? Toastmasters, we're still alive. We're still here. We're having a good time.
All I could think about, Daniel, was how you always say, "Doesn't matter, Jenny. We're gonna go with it. That's whatever happens. We're gonna go with it. If you're and all I could think was, we're gonna go with it. We're gonna go with it." And I'm like,
good. Yeah. See, I figure if I say things enough times, they start kind of landing like that.
They land somewhere in here.
The spirit of high performance, that resilience, that keep going no matter what.
That's right. That's right. So, Julie, I know the last time I spoke with you, we did conversations with the average dude. Do you remember that?
Yeah, it was a long time ago, and I was giving you so much crap about being the average dude in your name.
You did, yeah. As a high performance coach, as a highly rated high performance coach, the average dude, that's like nails on a chalkboard for you, isn't it?
It is. Once I understood what you meant by the average dude, I was better with it. But I want you to be like the exceptional dude, the extraordinary dude. Like,
yeah. Hey, the whole idea is I'm working with what I've got, right? And sometimes we don't have these outlier qualities. Sometimes we just go with what we've got. And Brittany Newcomer, who's got an exciting new job and that we've got to hear about.
And telling us too, Daniel. I don't know if you heard any of that. But I did mention that Capital One was my favorite credit card.
Oh yeah, yeah. So I want to kind of go back in time, and I want to talk a little bit about when I first met Brittany, and she was at Capital One, and I remember after the first time we had coffee, and I left, and I actually was doing a video for a little group, not on LinkedIn or anything like that, but I talked about Brittany because some of the things I saw there, I said, this is what high performance is about. And so Brittany has really skyrocketed through the ranks. And I think that she has a lot of qualities that we can all learn from. One story, Brittany, that I'm going to ask for you to retell that keeps coming out of my mind. You told me when we were at that meeting many years ago now, but one of the things that if you had a target, a prospect, and even if the situation, the environment wasn't right, and you knew that you needed to create some proximity and talk to this person, that you were going to make it happen. Does that ring any bells of a story where you did something similar? I'm sure it's happened many times, but I'm thinking of one.
Man, I don't remember the exact one you're thinking about. You might have to tell me the customer. Is it the customer that sat at Coffee Underground?
I think it was. I'll give you a little hint. You didn't have any makeup on. You had been after this person for a long time, and you said,
wait, don't talk about that. Oh my God.
I got all pretty today. I put my eyelashes on for you guys.
Yeah, you look fantastic. But I just remember that particular story. That told me. I'll just kind of replay what I remember, and you correct me if I'm wrong. But you were with your mother, and you were in a situation, and it was a chief financial officer came into the restaurant where you were at and sat down at a table, and so you weren't prepared, but you knew that you had been after and needed to talk to this person, and you said you got up and went over and talked to him at the table, and I thought, wow, that's. Do you remember that?
I do. I'm going to hold their name to keep.
Yeah, hold the name.
We have to hold it. Any Capital One, you got to hold it with the banking.
Yeah.
But yes, I realized I was going after this business for some time. It was a CEO of a really large staffing company, and we can really help out a lot of staffing companies in South Carolina with credit cards, right? Because a lot of people don't know you can put your payroll tax, your sales tax on credit card for no fees and then earn a lot of cash back. Like no brainer, right?
Yeah.
So I realized, because I do a little LinkedIn stalking in sales. That's what high performers do.
Nothing wrong with that.
Face, and it's
I appreciate that a lot, by the way.
I know. It's like this. You're like, you're on
Yeah,
LinkedIn
like,
real quick at the coffee shop, just making sure, all right, I think that's the right person.
mhm.
Wasn't prepared to go over there, but I went over to the CEO. We snagged a meeting, and they did become a Capital One customer. And what's wonderful is the CEO goes to Coffee Underground every day during the week. So it's wonderful. I still see them now. Very sad when they found out I was leaving Capital One, but
Oh,
the relationships we built have been amazing.
mhm.
I guess everybody was probably sad after you spent probably what, 5 years at Capital One?
Yes, I was there for 5 years. I started off in sales, selling to, middle to enterprise customers here locally in South Carolina. And then I went to lead on and invent like their customer success team, which is when our team took the deals after sales signed it and ramped them. So I was able to do some double-digit growth there. And then I moved over to a startup, which is really exciting. Building
Yeah.
is really, really fun. I went to a startup within Capital One and was their
Oh,
head of sales there. And one thing with high performers is the leader, right? The leader that you have. And my leader over there in this startup was amazing. Her name's Kirsten Knoll. She's built financial software before with a company with a ton of employees, sold that company. It's white
Wow.
labeled now to this day. And just her go-to-market strategy and all of the stuff I've learned from her was amazing. So I actually followed her over to where I'm at now at Draper.
Oh,
wow. So I was wondering how that connection worked. And so I do want to hear more about Driver here very soon. I've got some questions about that. But I want to ask Julie, number one, what that sort of determination that Brittany shows, knowing where her customers are, is that something that you see repeated often in high performers, that willingness to go the extra mile, as it were?
Yeah, absolutely. One of the telltale signs of a high performer is crystal clarity. You have to have clarity as the foundational element of all performance. So when you know who you are and what you want, you're pretty much willing to do what it takes to get there, right? So you have this vision like Brittany did. She knew that to get where she wanted to go, she had to connect with the right people. So instead of going, oh my gosh, I don't have my makeup on, what am I gonna do? But, we create all these BS excuses for why we can't be our best selves and go after what we want. But she didn't let that stop her. She was like, this is what I want. There he is. This might be the only time I'm here, and let's go.
That's it. That was what I took from that. That willingness to, regardless of what happens, to continue to go. And you're right. The other thing I took from Brittany, she knew the numbers. She knew exactly, and I see that question mark. She knew the numbers. She knew exactly where, to your point, she knew exactly where she was in that sales cycle. She knew what every customer was doing. And I thought, my goodness, she knew all about her product, her service, and the people that she wanted to serve. Jenny Winny's got a question.
well, it just made me think of that. We should have just said that this was planned today. Like,
Yeah.
That high performance thing, like you got to just perform no matter what happens, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I said it, I just thought that was me.
That was
Yes,
it.
it was absolutely you today, Jenny. And
Sure.
that's the point. Like, life is going to happen.
Was
Yeah.
it you remained calm the whole time because you were in here and you made me feel better because we analyzed what the problem was, but then you're like, it's fine. We'll just go live without.
Yeah.
Well, I've learned on my journey, just my personal journey as a single mother of 3, and then as through my yogic trainings, mindfulness and meditation, to remain calm, to not get too attached to a specific expectation. And then you pile that on top of the high performance training I've had, which is, what do you want here? What's the purpose of being here?
Mhm.
And like with Brittany's situation, people don't really, as much as we would like to think they care about how we look, we care about how we look more than they do. They care about what you can do for them.
Mhm.
That's right.
That's right.
Always about
Yeah.
the value prop, right? Like what value
And
you
so,
bring into the customer.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so for Jenny this morning, it was like, you know what? This is the show. People are out there. Let's go. Here we are, whoever it is. And yes, the average dude, it's Jenny Winny and the average dude, but someday it might not work out. And then it might be just the average dude or just Jenny Winny. But You can't cancel. You can't just scrap it, right? You
Yes.
got to go with it. And,
You
and
could.
I suggest,
I
No.
could. You know what? But I looked, I'm like, I don't have on earrings, but we're just don't, you know what? I still have on my pajama pants because I was in that kind of panic.
Me too. Me too, Jenny.
Oh,
We're
man,
very
I love.
transparent here.
After my heart.
you want to know what's really funny? I've done this multiple times, and I was on a podcast recently. I only had one earring, not the other one. And one time I had two different ones. Because, you get in that mode. But again,
You should have
none
seen
of
me.
it matters. I've been on podcasts where my mascara was smeared, my lipstick was on my teeth. And in the end, nobody ever has reached out to me and said, gosh, like what a train wreck you were on that, because they were listening to what I had to say.
Mm-hmm. And you know what? Something you said just a minute ago, and I thought, I always go away with a takeaway. And this is the first thing that popped in my head is you said, don't get attached to like an expectation. Because that really, I mean, really, if you don't, then you can kind of morph and mold with whatever happens. And I know you said you were a single mom, Julie, and see, Daniel, we did a little video earlier. I was the same way. Do you think that made you kind of like say, okay, I have to be this way? I mean, for me, it did. I had to be mom, dad, and I had to be, the person that fixed the garage door and did this and this,
Kills the spiders, gets the snakes out of the garage. I mean, it's crazy what I've seen in the last decade, but you're right. It raised my necessity.
Mm-hmm.
And necessity is something we talk a lot about with high performers is why do you need to achieve success? Who needs you on your A game? Because if you're setting goals and your goals are all material, like I want a really cool car, or I want a big house, you're going to hit those goals. I mean, I can help anyone. I really believe this, and it's not ego. It's a proven scientific strategy that I use. And from the High Performance Institute, I can help anyone get from here to here. But if you have those less important goals, and I am judging a little bit there, if you have materialistic goals only, you're going to get there and you're not going to be fulfilled. And so when you attach your actions to a necessity, for me, it's my kids, making sure that they have the life that I want them to have and opening opportunities for them. So whatever it is, connecting your actions to the necessity, that way, when you wake up in the morning, you just don't feel like getting out of bed. You do, because someone else is depending on you.
Yeah.
I love that. I'd love to add something to that. So it was kind of silly, right? I had this vision board. And people were probably skeptical at first when I started at Capital One, but I had this metal vision board, and we're all remote workers, right, in sales when we were at Capital One, and it's like right behind where I can look at it every day. And you're right, it was a mixture. It was a mixture of some materialistic things, and everybody might be like, oh gosh, we remember the story, but it was to buy a Tesla, right? That's when Tesla, the Model 3 was launched. I waited 2.5 years. I was patient for it. And it was to get that car. And then it's also about experiences. I'm big into experiences with my family. Not a single mom over here, but I do have two beautiful young little girls. I have a 3 and a 6-year-old. So it's like that next trip. Where are we going to take them? Where are we going to build memories? And that vision board still to this day kind of connects into one of my highlights from F1 5 years later. It's pretty cool. So once we get there, we can talk about it.
Oh, see, I love all of that because I so resonate with that. It's like you're motivated. Like you said, Julie, you wake up and you're like, oh, I just don't feel like doing this. It was like when I did a podcast with Jonathan Peoples, and, it was talking about out of necessity. It's like when I started with the boutique, all of a sudden I'm a single mom. It's like, this is not a hobby anymore.
Right?
I need to pay some bills. So, you know what I mean? Then all of a sudden my whole mindset changes on that business. But then, Brittany, what you said too, I've said this all year, and it's probably just because I'm getting older, but I'm like constantly #making memories. I don't care if I'm extremely tired. My daughter and I, we just took Amtrak to New York to go see Phantom of the Opera before just memories. You know what I mean? Just, and I'm very purposeful in that. I would rather have those kind of things than the Tesla. You know what I mean? Or,
But I think we can have it all. And that's what I want to come back to. There's nothing wrong with those material goals, but connect it with a deeper purpose. So then it's like, yeah, why do you want a Tesla? So you can drive to the beach with your family and have a great beach trip, right?
Safest vehicle for one of the safest vehicles for your kids.
Do you love it?
Love it.
See, I know.
I saw Elon, Jenny Winny. Spoiler alert.
Yeah, spoiler alert. I love it.
Fangirled.
Fangirled over it. Let's hear that story. Let's hear the story.
You want to hear it now?
Let's do it. Let's go ahead and let's segue. We can't go from the Tesla, which I got to see, by the way, and that's awesome.
By the way, you were
Yeah, I know.
You
They're like, hey, we no longer need you. We're going to give you the small square, and the ladies are going to take over, right? So, it's the story of the average dude. What can I say? But I do know and was excited to talk about this F1 experience. I don't know anything about F1 other than a lot of cool people go. So, Brittany, and I know that Julie's been to some cool places too. I want to talk about that, but I want to talk about Brittany.
My son actually, my oldest son, for his graduation gift, he and a friend went over to London to see one of the big F1 races over there.
Oh, cool.
That's nice. So, Brittany,
what's F1?
Formula One, right?
Oh.
It's like these tiny race cars. I mean, they're tiny, and like it's super hard to qualify to be one of those 20 drivers. Now, the average
20 drivers. Let's think about that. That's a very narrow field, isn't it?
It's fast. Like they're going in speeds over 200 miles per hour. They had to do 57 laps or 2 hours, whichever came first. This was our first time driver helped sponsor the event. So
cool.
Sponsor the event. And we had exclusive opportunities for our guests to enjoy us. So some of our customers and guests got to come. Now, I knew nothing about Formula One before I went.
I feel bad.
Now I feel like
F1, and I'm like, F1. Daniel, F3 or whatever.
there you go.
This is F1.
There you go.
Okay.
There you go. So with Draver, we're expanding everywhere, right? We had a big product launch at F1. We launched our new consumer app. So, okay, we're going to get back to the Tesla story. Having a Tesla, I love it. But man, our dealership is an hour and a half away, all the way in Matthews, North Carolina. So I wish I had this app before. With this app, I can schedule for somebody to pick up my car, take it to the dealership for me and drop it off. And then when it's done, I can go back into the app and have them bring the car back to me. Like, think about the value, the time.
Yes.
What is your hourly rate for me to drive an hour and a half, wait there an hour and a half, or try to find a ride back? Like, our app does it for consumers. Now, this is something new. We've always been doing B2B, right? So business to business. We have Penske's one of our largest customers, Ford. So just launching this to consumers for you to be able to move your vehicle and be able to focus on the things, making memories, Jenny Winny. You can make memories. Moved for you, or if people are moving, like that's on the app. So that's what we launched there. So we had VIP passes, and me not knowing anything about Formula One, I'm so sorry. I got so many pictures with the drivers, and everybody's like shocked. So like Lewis Hamilton selfie, Checo from Mexico selfie, and he also took second in the race. We have a big presence in Mexico, so that's who our team was rooting for. We're global now, so we're in Mexico, Brazil, Canada, in US, and then we're expanding markets. For our consumer app, we're just in US right now, but have plans to expand.
That's awesome.
But I stayed cool, calm, and collected until Elon walked by me.
Yeah, and you're like,
I was videoing, and I had a fangirl moment, and I said a very dorky comment to him, and he acknowledged me. And I said, I love my Tesla, Elon, and all the memories just started flooding back. The vision board of buying the Tesla, the vision board of paying off the Tesla, and then just seeing him and like thinking, like his visionary mind, like he's walking into this garage, and like what is he building next?
Yeah.
Right? Like what's happening next? Because if you think about it, a lot of the features in the car, he's probably getting in his mind and brainstorming when he's looking at these Formula One cars. So it just gave me chills, and I fangirled.
That is awesome. Yeah.
And that was a full circle moment for you.
I know.
Like, the vision board to getting the Tesla, to paying off the Tesla, to meeting Elon right there. And that's like the magic of clarity, right? That's what I want. I'm gonna go get it.
I stand correct. I would like to have a Tesla and meet Elon.
We have to declare it, right? You
I'm
can
gonna make you a
declare it
little
right
board
now,
with it.
Jenny.
Now, let me say to all the folks that were kind of giving you grief, I have no problem. I'm sure Julie has no problem, and I don't know about Jenny Wynn. We'll have to ask her with a vision board. I think
Oh,
that
no.
writing these things, filling our mind with these visions, and you getting to walk it out. I agree with Julie. That's full circle,
Yeah.
and that's why we do these things to create memory. So high performance, yeah, it's about a full life, right? It's about getting as much as we can out of each heartbeat as we can, and so these experiences you're never going to forget. That fangirl moment, I don't care if it's a dorky comment or not, I do it all the time, right? But you were able to speak with Elon, and I just think that's so cool. Full circle. Who else has something to say? I'm gonna shut up for a
I mean,
little
I'm
bit.
just saying, did you get a picture with him?
I didn't ask for a picture with him. I mean, he had his little baby in his arms and he was walking in so calm and walked right into the
You're
garage.
like, I love Teslas.
Tesla. I have it videoed. I'm just videoing because you can
Oh.
tell when you start seeing famous people, people are going nuts. The
They
press
go
is
nuts.
running back there. It's insane. And I'm like, what is happening? Bezos walked right by me. I wasn't even paying attention. My boss, Kirsten, saw him. She goes, oh, there's Jeff. I was like,
Oh wow!
I missed it.
Oh, really?
I missed it.
Hey,
Talk
Jeff.
about your high performers. Those two guys, they've done pretty well for themselves.
Amazing.
Yeah,
But yeah,
I
no,
love
I
it.
did not ask for a picture. It totally was not the right appropriate
No.
time.
You know what? That's an interesting direction to go, Daniel.
Yeah.
Because they have obviously created empires.
Yeah.
And looking at it from a high performance perspective, sometimes they've made a lot of waves. Not even sometimes. They've made a lot of waves, and they haven't always been the most likable people.
Right?
True.
But
True.
they had a vision, and they stuck to their vision, and they saw it through. And that's something that I've learned the hard way that some people don't like to talk about, which is every next level of your life requires a next level of you. And that means sometimes the people that are around you are not growth friendships. They're not friendships that are going to take you from here to there. And so as you shift and evolve, we find sometimes we have to release some of those people or spend less time with them. And that's something that's an interesting thing to consider. And people tell me that. They're like, well, now that I'm performing better, people don't like me as much. There's a lot of issues there, right? About how they do it, but we can't control that, right? Like when you hang out with the masses in your company and you're all equal and you're all sitting in the break room together complaining about the boss. Well, when you become the boss, they're still hanging out, complaining about you. Now you have more work to do, so you don't get to be with them as much.
Yeah.
And they're still going to carry on the way they carry on, but you have other things. You have bigger priorities. And
Brittany, I'd like to, that's an excellent point. Thank you, Julie. I'd like to talk to you about that. So you went from a salesperson to a leadership role. What's the difference? And did you have any of those challenges of like, oh my gosh, she's my boss now, or anything like that? Or was that something that played out for you?
I did.
Yeah.
Well, first thing is your vision board changes. It's not all about you anymore.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
It's about the team. So it's like, well, let me write down this one picture.
Down.
Let me just start over here, right? And this was my first time being a leader, and I'm very thankful that Capital One, gave me that option to be able to try it out, give it a little test drive there. But the first thing is you have to change your mindset. Your mindset is not you hustling anymore. Like you're there for your people. You're there to remove barriers and roadblocks for them. You're there to listen to them and understand like what are their career goals and ambitions. And that's really like your job. Like they say you're the boss and they work for you, but really you work for them.
Right.
That's the motto I try to go by. Like I'm the type of leader. I saw leaders in the past that I didn't want to be. And I tried to be the leader I've always wanted to be and the leader that I really loved and respected. And one thing I think I do a good job is I like to get in there right in with my team. I will carry the bag with them. I will go on meetings for them. I want to take their meetings when they're gone, you know, on PTO, or so they can actually enjoy the time off and they're not stressed about, you know,
Yes.
what they're like, oh gosh, I hope my account's okay. Or they messaging like, I'm gonna have to make all this up when I get back. Like I want them to be able to recharge, refresh, and I have no problem like getting in there and doing that for them. So
You're like the ideal leader. We're like, we're gonna go on vacation and you just handle it. Cause I know that feeling. It's like I'm at the beach, but am I really? Because my mind's not, you know what I mean?
yeah.
Well, and Brittany brings up some really excellent points about the shift that needs to take place, and not everyone can do it.
Mhm.
Not all people who are good in one position can climb the ladder. Not everyone's cut out to be a leader in that way. That's some of what I get. People, sometimes CEOs will call me and say, you know, I've given this person a promotion and they're fish out of water, and can you help them with leadership development?
Mhm.
And it can be learned, but like Brittany clearly already had the skills and the humility that you were talking about, Brittany. It's not all about you, it's about your team. And then you all co-create a vision of where you're going, and you are a collaborator with them, even though you're leading the charge. And your job is to empower them to be their best, because the most intelligent leaders surround themselves with quality team members.
No, I totally agree. One of the things that was super big for me was being inclusive.
Yes.
Like I could make all the decisions, but like who it affects at the end of the day is my
Yep.
team. So I'd love to get their feedback on it, right? I had in my mind what I was thinking, and most of the time
And what you were hoping, but it's
right.
yeah.
Please let them say this.
Well, it's just kind of like, you know, they feel involved and they don't feel like you're just telling them what to do. They have had a say in it, you know, and to me, they don't look at you, even though you're their boss and their leader or whatever, they look at you also. I just always think of like the people that work. I always said that work with me. They work with me, even though they may work for me, they work with me because I couldn't do it without them. You know, I couldn't.
Right. One thing I was trying to think of what I was thinking. You said something and it made me. Oh yes. So one thing is, Julie, I appreciate you saying that, but guess what? I'm still learning. Be a really great leader. There's always an opportunity, and I'm still learning. And I told my new team, right? Like I had our first team meeting this week because I kind of got thrown into F1 and really didn't get to address the team. We did the org change, and I needed to address the team this week. And one thing is like, I'm going to make mistakes. It's going to happen, right? But just hang in there with me, and I'm about to make some changes, and some are going to be good and some might be painful, but we're going to do it together. So I'm still learning. I'm in a new industry. I know how to build, right? I know how to sell. I know how to build a great, like, powerful team.
Yeah.
Telling them like, I'm probably going to make mistakes and it's okay. Just tell me.
I love that.
Tell me.
But you're framing, like we talked about expectations earlier, you're framing an expectation. So they have somewhere to land to put their thoughts. So if something doesn't go well, then they can go right to, well, Brittany kind of set the stage for this, and she's a newer leader, and they'll hopefully offer you more grace.
What was it hard too, Brittany? Like you said, you switched industries. So, I mean, you know, do you feel almost like ill-equipped to lead or something first going into that? Or is it just like, you know, it's the basic core of leading and you're learning this industry as you go?
I am so excited. No, it is the basic core of leading.
Yes.
Like I can build, like if you think about it, Draver was founded by Zarif in 2013. We are still in startup mode.
Yeah.
We just launched the first personal moving app. Like there is no other app out there that can move your vehicle, right? Like we're Uber.
Yeah.
We have 20,000 gig drivers. Like this gets me so excited. At night, I'm like, what do I have to do next? What's my to-do list? You know, we got to get our demos together. How are we going to script everything out? And you know,
it's new energy for a new challenge. And like you say, hey, you're still learning, but that energy to do what you do, because those qualities aren't going anywhere. You know, that's your shoebox of talent. You're going to learn the other stuff. And by golly, I've got new energy to overcome new hurdles, right?
Right. I didn't know credit cards before Capital One and became, you know, #1 my first year, and almost completed it the second year. I only sold for 3 months, but finished #3 in the company, just selling 3 months. My second year when I went to the other team.
Let's go.
I knew nothing about credit cards. Where you're successful, I think, and like being a high performer is finding the niche.
Yeah.
Capital One, I found the niche, right? I found the credit card acceptors in my area, which is, like I said, payroll tax, South Carolina tax, and some insurance industries. And every company has to pay one of those, right? So we can help everybody. So it's about how you can bring the value to everybody.
And that goes back to what I had noticed earlier. You really dug in. You may not have ever been in credit cards, but you're going to dig into this new company like you dug into into the credit card industry, and know the ins and outs, and know where those soft spots are, know where the niche is, and find that way to win. Right.
Right. You
And
got
this
it.
is an industry that is not, I mean, y'all are like on the cutting edge of this.
Gotcha, Julie.
Julie, I'm going to do this.
I have my little question mark. I don't have a cool one like Jenny does.
I will make you one.
But can we back up a minute? I
Yeah.
don't know what your company is, Brittany, because I just met you like 30 minutes ago. Do you want to tell us what your company is and like what it's all about?
Yeah, so Draver is the leading on-demand white glove vehicle delivery service. So we do it for businesses, like think about a Penske and Ford, think about different dealerships. So OEM, fleet, anybody that needs to move vehicles, right? People are renting vehicles and you got to get it back to the hub.
Right.
And this costs people time and money. And the biggest thing that our CEO found out was he used to have, a business that did this, is that the car's not in the right place at the right time. It's costing money. It's costing a bad customer experience. And he built a software sales, right? So we have a SaaS product that uses AI to take all the guesswork out of it. So we have clients that pay a subscription, use our software, log in, create their trips, and it does all the work for them. Or we have it to where they're like, we have managed services where they say, okay, here's all my information. And then we have a team behind the scenes that white gloves it, builds out the trips for them, and gets them done. And then they have peace of mind. Like we cover insurance, everything.
I was going to say the
insurance.
insurance.
Yes, it's peace of mind. Like we're saving people so much time.
And so you were saying that like y'all are having a consumer, like just a local consumer app coming out, or is it out?
Out. Download it today. We launched it on Friday at Formula One, and anybody can use it. So
basically,
you got to get your car done. You don't even need to
yeah. So
you just download the app. It's so easy to use. You download the app, put your name in, your email, your address, and register what type of payment you want. And then it's simple. You just say, here's the vehicle I want to move. I want to move it from A to B. Now, will we have bugs? Probably, absolutely. So anybody, if you have any bugs, you reach out to me. We'll address it right away because we want to make sure we get your move done. Yep. You reach out to me personally. My cell phone should be on LinkedIn, or you can email me personally at brittany.newcomer@draver.com, and we will personally make sure we take care of your move.
That's fantastic.
That is
Thank
pretty
you for that. I wasn't sure how granular or how detailed we got with what the company was. So thanks, Julie, for backing up on that, because that's such a cool company. And that's part of why I wanted to have Brittany on. It's like she had this vision board, she fulfilled that. She gets to experience new things because, hey, you play hard, you win big, you get to do it again, rinse and repeat, right? Julie, you probably see that with a lot of your clients.
Yeah, absolutely. And it gets easier each time because what it's all about is creating high-performing habits for clarity, energy, productivity. So when you tap into a process that works for you, and like what I do with my clients is I provide them with the tools that are research-based. So it's like, this has worked for 3 million people. Let's try it out, right? And so it's about developing those habits and then going back and refining them and improving and becoming better. And each time you're stepping up to the next level.
And using those skills, talking about leadership and what Brittany kind of hit on, she really wants her team to win. It's like, what are my skills that I know that I can bring that can help others? And once we start doing that, oftentimes I know I call myself the average dude. One thing, I got some energy, right? And if I can give energy to other people, then that's a win. And everybody likes the energy, right? So
what would you say? Like you said, you like habits for high performance. I mean, like for an example, what are some of the habits that you would say for a high performance?
My favorite thing, I was just looking, I'm like, do I have one nearby? I can pull one probably in a minute. One of my favorite things is a productivity planner because it's a one sheet And so you set your 3 main priorities. I call them priorities. Some people call them projects, goals,
Okay.
whatever. And you set your 3 main priorities for the day, and then the 5 actions you need to complete. So it's, you know, some people have to-do lists, some people,
Yes.
we all have different strategies, but this is all on one page. Then it talks about who you need to reach out to, because a lot of times we will wake up and we'll open our email. And email is a convenient organizing system for other people's priorities. Like, you get on there, you're going to go down that rabbit hole, and right away you're losing 30% of your productivity. So instead, you want to, before you start your day, look at your priorities. Who are you waiting to hear from? Who do you need to reach out to? And what do you need to accomplish at the end of the day, no matter what?
I
When
love
you-
that. I
Yeah.
use
When
use
you
the
can,
message, Julie, with email, because what I like to do with the email, because it does help, is I use the little tools and I put like a question mark. You know how you can change the coloring to keep it really organized? So I'm like, okay, I don't need to touch this email and go down a rabbit hole, because I know I'm waiting to hear back from someone.
And I will go down that rabbit hole. I felt like you were talking to my soul, Julie, because I'm
well, and the other thing is give yourself permission to just delete emails. I go through and I do not open half my emails.
I do that. I do. I'll just highlight them.
You're irrelevant. It's a waste of your time. A bunch of people, sorry, average dude, salesperson.
I was gonna
There are a
say,
lot of people trying to sell things that you don't need, you don't want, and you don't have time for.
Yeah.
So it's like, move on. Now, again, not Daniel. Of course, he sells things that people actually want. But,
I like to
but
stay
you
cool.
know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
if you are just diving in, or even with the relevant ones from your colleagues and coworkers, it's all about what they need from you. And before you address what they need for you, focus on what you need.
Yeah.
And that's your job.
Irrelevant. Like yesterday, I was looking for a specific email or response, but then I saw another one that I was like, ooh, what did they say? And I look, and the next thing I'm like, what was I doing?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, really,
Yeah.
but that's the kind of thing that happens.
And that's
That's
what's
clear.
great about having it all on one sheet is you can look at it. And I actually really like, some people will do it online, like they just have the PDF form of the sheet. And I know it's not great for the environment, but I like them printed out because you can look back and then you can also move them forward. So it's like, okay, on Monday, I didn't get this one task done. It's coming to Tuesday now. And so it's a system that you create, a process, because when you don't have processes, it's like throwing spaghetti on the wall. Well, I'm going to show up at work today and do my job. It's like, well, yeah, you are, and you're going to hopefully be somewhat effective, but why leave it to chance?
Intentionality.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And Daniel knows this about me. It's like, set an intention for your day, set an intention for everything you're doing. And going back to energy, the energy that you bring to a situation is something we don't often think about, but it's the game changer. It's like, if I came on the show, I'm like, hello, I'm Julie Ruska. It's nice to meet you guys. I'm having a really rough day. You know, I'm just gonna sit back. Like, I just took the mood of the show down.
Yeah.
People do that all the time. They go into work. Oh my gosh, I had a rough night with the kids. Well, how is that serving you or other people?
Yeah.
So I wanted to segue into, that's excellent points. Thank you. I want to talk about proximity. You know, Jim Rohn said we're the average of the 5 people that we're around. So as we rise through the ranks, we have, you know, opportunities to be around others that inspire us. My friend, Freddie Blanton, shout out to Freddie, but he's going on this, you know, basically it's a sales training, but it's something that he's kind of said he's been putting off. But being around people that are playing at a high level, that are doing fun things, that's inspiration.
It motivates you.
You know, yeah, you sit around, I talk about this often, but the kids you sit around at the lunch table, you start becoming like those people, you know, because they're human beings too. And you start seeing how they act and you start picking up on their habits, and all of a sudden you start emulating them and gaining the confidence and all the things that go with this. Is why I love doing the podcast. I'm able to invite high performers on, learn from them, and then apply it to my own life. Brittany, have you experienced the proximity? And I want to talk to Julie about the ACC coaches too before we run out of time. But
Yes, I've experienced both sides, right? Positive and negative. And one thing I like to try to do is take the negative and turn them around to a positive. I tend to be a really positive person.
Mhm.
And I know I mentioned her before, but like Kirsten, who is my leader right now, she's a very positive person. And her energy she brings off, and just her intelligence and all these different areas. Because I don't know if you guys know, like she's CRO now, right? So she's revenue. When you think revenue, some people think, well, just sales.
Right.
Usually it's not. Usually it's sales, it's onboarding, it's customer success.
Right.
Could be marketing too as well. Usually, she's over marketing too as well.
wow, it's a big umbrella.
Yeah.
Big umbrella, and there's so many different things to talk about and to learn, and that's what I've been super excited before, right? Like I've never done marketing before. I know how to put together a really good customer gift, and to be able to do direct marketing to get some business. That worked really well for me at Capital.
Yes, it did.
That was the easy thing, but I don't know how to like build a huge
Mhm.
banner or to do like and all of that stuff we got to do at Draver at Formula One. We have our chief marketing officer, Patricia, got to build that. So I love just surrounding myself around positive, diverse, right? Diverse people too, as well.
Absolutely. Ding, ding, ding. I love that.
Mhm.
So Julie, I know with your you're hosting a show, the next level, and I
Yeah.
know that that's taken you to some interesting places to get to be around and create proximity to some pretty cool people. So you got to go to the ACC tournament, which I thought that was
Yeah.
cool.
At the
And
Final Four.
Right, the Final Four.
The last 2
Yeah.
years, actually, really fun.
Yeah.
But I'll get to that about the surrounding yourself with people. When I started to scale my company and my coaching business, I was very strategic in who I connected to.
Mhm.
And everyone was where I am or ahead of me.
Mm.
It was very much, these are the people that I want to align with. These are the people I want to work with. It was all very intentional. And so, yes, I kind of jumped onto the world stage in 2020 during the pandemic on LinkedIn, and like
Yeah.
hardly any followers, hardly any connections. I was one of those like people that had a LinkedIn account. I created it like 6 months before the pandemic just to have.
Yeah.
But with the intentionality of creating a network that helps me become a better version of myself,
Mhm.
I started working with some really remarkable people. One of which was an NCAA coach. And
Cool.
so when I was working with him, then a year later, he was like, oh, you should come to the Final Four with me. You can meet all of these great coaches. And then so I did that in 2022. And then this year, I launched my first ever streaming TV show called The Next Level with Julie Ruska.
Cool.
And
Go.
yes. And so Tom Devitt was one of my clients that was on the show. And so he was on the show, and then he's like, we should do this at the Final Four. And I'm like, I'm game. So interesting enough, the power of LinkedIn, I call it a no budget, low budget TV show, because, we all start somewhere.
Yeah.
They were not able to send a camera crew with me.
Mhm.
So
I was gonna ask you about that.
and I found this woman, Shri, and I will murder her last name, but I think it's Mahabar.
Yeah. I was going to call you out on it.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks for that. But
Sure.
Shri, we can put it in like the comments below.
Yeah.
But Shri is a video production coach. So I contacted her. I'm like, hey, do you have people? And she's like, me and Robert Barry, who you probably also know, Daniel from LinkedIn, can come. We can record, we can edit, we can put it out there.
That's
and
cool.
So 2 of those videos are out now on my LinkedIn page. And
Well,
it's just, you can learn so much. Not everyone that I interview as a client, some of the people are my connections. And what I've found is I'm such a better version of myself, and I learn from every single person I interview, like you were saying, Daniel.
Yes.
So surrounding myself with these coaches, and some of them, one of them is a coach from Yale. He's been there 25 years. The wisdom he alone had was mind blowing. And so to have the opportunity to go down there and get to know these coaches and interview them, it's just, it's so humbling, and I'm really grateful.
Oh, yeah.
Well, doing interviews myself, I did notice that you had to come up with how to get the cameras right. So it's not just doing it, it's uncomfortable for many reasons, just like we had uncomfortable today, right? I'm sitting here with my finger on my phone as I'm talking to y'all. Not the most comfortable thing, but you probably had technical difficulties down there. You had to set it up. There was people all around. People are looking at you, and you're trying to have a conversation with these successful, leaders.
Yes. So they tell me, they're like, we're going to have this social for all the coaches. They're going to be at this bar and grill, and we'll set you up in a quiet area. Well, there's no quiet area. I already kind of was like, I don't know if that's going to be a good idea.
Yeah.
And we got there, and it was slam packed. I mean, it was awesome, amazing. So many coaches. There were some NBA scouts there that I had great conversations with, some athletic directors, great people. But yeah, suddenly I have two people I've never worked with running two cameras. You can see in my footage, one had a certain lighting, one had a different lighting. So when I'm doing interviews, it's like I look tan in one, I look super pale in the other. It's the same me. But all of those things. And again, you have to believe something that Brittany has brought up, and I've really keep hearing over and over here. You have to believe in your ability to figure things out. You have to go in it with that mindset of, I've got this. And with each level, with each challenge, you learn, and your competence increases your confidence.
It does. It does.
Yeah. Yeah, this will be we will always remember this particular. I had this episode, y'all. I had the flow down. It was going to be, I had everything lined up. Again, Jenny mentioned it. This is the first time, by the way, the person that was going to sponsor this, you're going to get next week's instead. And I've got a good guest there too. So now, Brittany, what I want to talk about here too, we're talking about a lot of the wins. We all go through those times when things aren't going well. We don't feel up to our best. We have days when we're not feeling good. What are some of the things what keeps you on point with the motivate? How do you motivate yourself when you don't feel motivated?
And how do you motivate your team when you don't feel motivated?
Right. Those are great questions. So hear and know, it sucks sometimes, right? You can't let it get to you. So a couple things were definitely my vision board, keeping that top of mind of like, why am I here? What do I need to do? Sometimes I needed to reset and change things up, right? So what we like to do in sales is we have flows, right? In our CRM, we have different flows of how we're going to reach out to our prospects or our customers, right? Are we going to call them? Are we going to email them? Are we going to send them something? Are we going to LinkedIn? Are we going to do a LinkedIn message? So it's just like taking a look at and diagnosing what's happening. Why am I feeling down? Why is my team feeling down? So why am I feeling down? I'm getting a lot of no's. Well, why am I getting a lot of no's?
Yeah.
My flows aren't working, right? Like I need to change it up. How can I problem solve it? So like really looking at like, what is the problem? How is it impacting you? And what's a solution versus like, I got a problem. And just sitting back like, no, I got a problem. It's keeping me from making my dials, right? That's my impact. And my solution is I'm going to change it up. I'm going to look at my diagnosis. I'm going to see which flows I've been using, where have I been getting people on a hook to schedule a meeting for, where have I not? And then I'm going to switch it up and I'm going to try something different and see if that works. Or with leading the team, if they're down, it's just listening. What's going on? What barriers do you have? Like listening to your team. How can I help you right now? It's like making them feel comfortable to come to you, right? Because if they're not comfortable with you, they're not going to tell you what's going on. And then
how do you show that you're listening well, Brittany? When you're listening to it. Yeah. Well, I think that's important.
So this is a good one. This was something I learned when I was a leader, is that I like to action on things as people are telling them to me, and not everybody likes that. And I didn't know that, right? So then I had to like ask my team, when you're venting or when you're telling me things you need help with, is it okay if I action them right then and there? Because I like to get it done and then keep moving. And most people are okay with that and some aren't. And I didn't know that. And that was affecting them thinking I was not listening. But in reality, I thought I was slaying it over here.
Yes.
And it's done. They're going to be able to get off this phone call because I'm going to be on back to back and everything's going to be like on a silver platter for them. But some of them don't want that. They just want you to look at them.
They just want you to listen.
Take the notes like this, like really good, and then action on it. So that was also a learning moment for me. Right? Different people have different, like you got to.
And that's hard to change. I mean, I'm that way. Okay, I got it. You know,
that is a beautiful point. Sorry, Jenny. I just have to, why this is on my mind. You know, so everybody, we make these assumptions. We assume that we are doing really good. We're a good listener, but then you have to ask the person that's actually, how are they perceiving that, right? Their perception is reality. And so that is an excellent point. You know, check in with the person to find out is this landing right? You know, I mean, the best way to find out is to ask, to find out. So
and you can always set the expectation of, you know, when I just wanted to let you know that when we're in this conversation, you might see me doing this and here's what I'm doing. Because I've told people that before, like I have another computer over here and I'll tell them, you know, it's not that I'm taking away from our interaction. I'm just looking at these questions I have for you, or I'm taking notes just so they know, because sometimes we, again, make assumptions that when they're looking away or they're looking down, they're not listening to us or they're on their phone, which so many people do, right? Like they're on their phone. Well, I take notes on my phone sometimes. So if you set that expectation, that helps. And then you're right, asking them, you know, is it okay with you? Does that work for you? Most of the time people are going to be okay with it because you've asked them. And
I've seen who's not okay with it is my 19-year-old.
Well, that's a whole nother thing.
Yeah, because she's like, put the phone down, Mom. And I was like, you said this, I was going to check for you. And she's like, I'm just trying to talk to you.
Yeah, that's an excellent point. A little parenting tip. A little parenting tip.
All the way back around full circle, Daniel.
Yeah, no, I like that full circle stuff. And now one thing that I will say when we're talking about getting out of that, what I call that when my energy's down, the breathing thing. So that's something I've been doing recently. You know, when I notice my energy's down, I'm breathing differently. And so they call it meditation or whatever the case might be. But when I change my breathing, oftentimes I change my state. And I want to be in that extra vibe energy. So just a little tip from the average dude on how to get some energy. You like that, Jenny Winny?
I do. I was like, I'm going to start breathing.
Well, no, deep, changing that breath, right?
Well,
changing the breath.
Yeah, one of those tools, the high performance habits that I talk about, is a way to reset. And it's simply taking a moment for yourself to close your eyes, because the number one way we lose energy is our eyes. If you think about it, you're always on screens, you're always looking out. So to close your eyes and take those deep breaths from the base of your spine to the crown of your head and back down, and doing just 10 of those, research shows, can just completely clear the deck. So if you're feeling frustrated, angry, I tell people, if you're about to lash out at someone, excuse yourself, go to the restroom, or you can do it without closing your eyes if you need to, and just mindfully take those breaths before you hit the pause button. But I do tell people all the time, you know, whether it's personal or professional, if you find your energy or your anger, right, or your frustration rising up, just excuse yourself. Take 2 minutes. Go to the bathroom. No one's hopefully going to bother you. And then lock the door if you have kids, right? And you're at home. But reset. And that breath work is so powerful.
It really is. And also scaling situations, like scaling, what is it? Well, are we making a mountain out of a molehill? I do that a lot, right? Somebody told me to fax something the other day, and I was like, you want me to fax? It's like it irritated me, and it took me out of this state. And I'm like, really? Is that what we're going to get upset about? Is that what we're going to waste a moment over?
Yep.
And so this kind of this emotional intelligence, these soft skills, these are the sorts of things that really make a big difference in how we are intentional and how we use that energy, right? So I would love to hear some male let's see, Jenny, I'm trying to think how I wanted to how I wanted to end this. I've got so many things, upcoming things that are going on that I wanted to talk about, but you know what? We're just gonna end it right here. And what I'd like to say or ask Brittany and Julie is, for those people out there that aren't, they're hearing high performers talking, they're talking about F1 and ACC coaches. What's something that maybe you could say to them to help give them a little hope or maybe a little energy themselves? What
do the next, I mean, y'all both, and it's funny because y'all both are in two different fields, but it's such a commonality because things you say match, I mean, it really does. And so
the research on high performance is not industry specific. And that's what's so interesting to me, because when people come to me, they're like, oh, well, have you ever worked with someone, in this industry? And I'm like, well, I've worked in fashion, athletics, finance. Like, yes, I've worked in multiple industries, because the research shows that being a high performer is about who you are, and you take those skills to whatever you do in whatever industry. It's why Brittany's skills were transferable.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I think for hope, it's just staying open, right? Like, I never thought I was going to leave Capital One,
right.
Like, ever. I never thought I was going to leave the customer success team, but like the new adventure, staying open to looking at like that startup within Capital One led me to Kirsten. Leading me to Kirsten has led me to Draver, and now another startup, not as startup as there, but like another startup environment where they're on the cutting edge of technology.
Yeah.
So
how fun is that?
I know.
Isn't it awesome? So just staying open and, willing to talk to others and explore, I think is the key.
Stay open. Yeah, that's good.
I talk about those that are flying higher, that can take you to places you've never been, that can help you see the world in a different way. And I'm thinking about jumping out of an airplane, because that was kind of, you got to trust somebody to take you up there and show you these views. And then you jump out of the plane and hey, this is fun. This is new. It's different. It's a challenge, but it's an important part of it. So thank y'all so much for coming on here. This has been one of the most unique. What do you have there, Julie?
I forgot to show the productivity planner real quick.
Okay,
I went and grabbed it. So this is it. If people want it, I can send it to them, but that's it. Just because I grabbed it, didn't want to say I was going to do something and not do it, because integrity.
Because you're a high performer. That's it.
Yeah, and she is. And I knew that we had two high performers here. Thank y'all so much for joining. Thanks for rolling with the punches as we had some technical issues. Jenny, Winny, thank you for jumping in there and handling it like a pro.
Yeah, it was a pro. That's what
and so we've got a great guest next week. We've got some exciting news. We'll talk about all that next week. I'm glad we got this done. I'm glad we completed it. And hey, everybody have a great day.
Thank you for having us, Daniel, Jenny, Brittany. It's lovely to meet you. And thank you, everyone, for watching.
Absolutely. All right. See you.